So for instance, I was speaking to a young guy the other day, came to me with sleep problems. So he came to me for his second session this week, and we really started to cook with gas, because he was saying to me, what I've realized is I wake up in the night and I look at the clock. He was like, I've turned the clock around. And when I get up in the night, I'm now able to say to myself, it's all right, you don't need to look at the clock. He can sleep through the night properly because his brain is starting to learn, we can do this, we can take control of this. And for my clients, that's the key thing of them starting to realize they have a choice. There are always things, however small, they can do to improve the situation.
Excellent. That's amazing. So interesting. So I'm just going to break this down to make sure I've understood this correctly. So you're talking about the primitive brain,
Yes.
and that's where depression, anxiety comes from. And then
And
you've got
anger, yeah.
anger. So I've got to put anger there as well.
Yeah.
And then you've got the, what do you call the front?
We call it the intellectual brain. The sort of fancy name is the left prefrontal cortex, but we
Prefrontal
just call it,
cortex. Yes, got it.
yeah,
Yeah.
we just call it the intellectual brain because it then says, it's what it says on the tin, isn't it?
Well, actually, yeah. So I like these explanations better because I can understand it. So the primitive brain, essentially, that's because I had depression for a lot of years,
Yes.
and it's interesting because it's like, yeah. So once you're in that, so it's basically essentially different parts of your brain is
Yes.
in control or not in control, and therefore,
Absolutely,
if
Simon.
you're able to do activities or something to bring us into the intellectual brain, then
Yes.
therefore those negative, there's the negativity, the thoughts, all those sorts of things won't necessarily be appearing.
That's it, because that primitive brain, that fight flight brain, we've still got that part of our brain because we need it for when there's a fire in the building, or a child runs into the traffic and you have to go and rescue it, or, those emergency situations are when our brain flips us into that primitive brain and we need it. But unfortunately, in this modern world, it's very difficult for the brain to tell the difference between opening a stressful email and a building being on fire, because we've got such a range of stresses now. And for each of us, all those stresses are so, so different. We all get stressed by very different things. But the brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality.